Star Wars Squadron is EA's attempts to put players back into the cockpit during an intergalactic war between the Empire and the New Republic. While the foundation is sound, the single-player experience feels a bit empty at times and lacks the overall satisfaction necessary to enjoy the campaign. I completed the main story only for the sake of this review, otherwise I would have switched gears to the multiplayer long before the credits roll. Welcome to Rugged Pro Gaming, where I display a real-time interactive representation of my review score, which will increase or decrease in tandem with my verbal pros and cons. As always, we will begin with a perfect 10 and adjust accordingly throughout the review. If you enjoyed this video and my real-time review style, please subscribe to help the channel grow. But enough explaining, let's get right into it. The story begins sometime after the events of Return of the Jedi. The Empire is beginning to crumble and the New Republic is putting the pieces together in an effort to put them to their end. The game takes a different approach, allowing you to play as a pilot for each faction. This gives the player full insights on the motivations for each side. You're essentially in a constant tug of war, seeing firsthand the cause and effects of each objective that you complete for the rival factions. In theory, this should immerse players into the story, but in reality it causes more separation than integration. You don't get a realistic opportunity to bond or understand either side's motives, and the numerous characters introduced in the story fall to the wayside as a result. Those characters, however, have their own faults, and almost all of them seem like soulless husks. It appears that EA wanted to make each interaction as awkward as physically fucking possible. Not only are they reminiscent of iRobots,
my father tried to teach me human emotions.
The characters pausing after every written line does the lack of realism no favors.
Most spy extractions end with significantly more casualties. If the team had any reservations about you joining Titan Squadron, you certainly put them to rest. Now let's go. Captain Carroll is waiting.
This is really a shame because looking past the lifeless core, the characters really do have interesting stories to tell. Throughout the story, you'll experience some minor twists and turns with these characters, including sabotage, spies, traitors, other typical occurrences you will find during a wartime story. All things considered, the story isn't going to break any boundaries and isn't necessarily required to keep informed with the canon of the Star Wars films. In my experience, the story acts as an extended tutorial, teaching you how to operate and maneuver different ships and their loadouts. It ends up being a bit of a drag, however. While it's fleshed out with some detail, it ends up feeling like standard filler, an appetizer of sorts for the multiplayer main course. Speaking of multiplayer, be sure to check out my full multiplayer review as well for an in-depth look on what it's like sharing the skies with other pilots. Flying hasn't felt this good in quite some time. EA hit the mark in terms of providing a realistic feel of what it would be like flying the numerous starships. While mostly all of the ships operate the same, they all feel different from the next. The ships are essentially classes, having advantages and disadvantages between them. There are 4 ships to choose from, with each faction making a total of 8 selectable starships. They break into the classes of a fighter, which is your assault class, bombers, which is your typical tank class, interceptor, which plays like a rogue class, and lastly support, which is your healer/buffing class. Depending on the class you roll with, your ship would have different priorities such as acceleration and maneuverability to hull integrity and shields. The cool thing about your ships is that you have the option to divert the power of your engine to different components in real time. You can prioritize speed and acceleration, pump up the power of your lasers, or boost the effectiveness of your shields. This allows for some awesome moments of tactical awareness. If you have someone on your ass, you can divert power to your speed to try to outmaneuver them, or you can boost your rear shield for the moment while leaving your front open for attack instead. Whatever the situation, a good pilot can adjust, and the game allows the flexibility necessary to give you your best chances of survival. Each ship has different customizable loadouts to fit whatever playstyle you're looking to conquer. If you want to pilot a ship that prioritizes speed and disabling weapons, or a ship that drops bombs and provides stealth, the options are all there. However, even with the various options to alter your loadout, the game still feels a bit lacking in terms of variety, largely due to the lack of ship selection. With only one type of ship for each faction's classes, the small amount of diversity leaves more to be desired. The diversity of the campaign's missions are also on the shallow end. In Motive Studios' defense, the attempt at different mission structures are there. The implementation is what falls short. The missions all feel largely the same, which in a lot of ways are expected in a game such as this, but unfortunate nonetheless. They're all pretty much go here, shoot at this thing, then complete mission. The narrative around the missions are all different, but it's just slapping a new skin over a core that remains the same. Star Wars Squadron can be a fairly impressive visual experience, but can also be downright dirt ugly at times as well. It's clear that the focus was to make sure that the gameplay portion of the game looked appealing, and in those regards, it succeeds. Zipping around the galaxy is seductively pleasant, and the sounds of the carnage will transport you to your favorite Star Wars film. Sitting in the cockpit and admiring your surroundings also immerses you into the action. All of the gadgets and flickering lights behave in response to your actions. These interiors are all detailed to inevitable appreciation, but the same admiration can't be given when outside of combat. The menu systems and navigating through the hangars are dirt ugly. Everything looks as if it's encased in some sort of foggy shroud. It gives the textures a weird blur as if they aren't completely rendered. And rendering is also a huge problem. Nothing, and I mean nothing, loads up fully rendered. The texture pop-in was constant, and although at certain times the game would quickly pull it together, it's still a bit jarring to see these issues so frequently. The sad thing is the issues don't end there. We've spoken about the characters coming off as robots. This is even more apparent when the game fails to register proper lip syncing.
So, you're our new wingmate. Welcome to Titan Squadron. I'm Varco Gray, Squadron Leader. I think they're waiting for you in the briefing room. Better make a good first impression.
What?
As if the lip syncing wasn't already bad enough, you'll run into moments of a character speaking to you while not moving the mouth at all, just staring blankly into your cold soul. It's as if the game is deliberately attempting to break any progressing immersion you may have. The bugs don't run rampant, but the ones that do exist either make for an awkward or irritating experience. The level of quality applied to certain aspects of the game seem to be all over the place, like taking a standing piss while blindfolded. The experience could be vastly improved if the detail given to the gameplay and cockpits were consistent throughout. Star Wars Squadron's single-player campaign only serves as a precursor to something much bigger. The game presents a potentially interesting crew, but fails at developing a meaningful tale around them. This is multiplayer training with a story wrapped around it, but with none of the Star Wars charm that you're used to. While the gameplay is a wonderfully erratic mix of realistic simulation and arcade couture, the lack of a strong story or mission design fails to entice the player to see it through, leaving the main campaign feeling average at best. If you've reached this far, I want to thank you, and if you've enjoyed this video, also check out my Star Wars Squadron multiplayer review and top 5 multiplayer tips before you do whatever the hell else you have planned for the day. Be sure to subscribe, share, like, comment, and all that other jizz that helps content creators grow. Until next time, friends, this is Rugged Mike of Rugged Pro Gaming, signing off.